Hello, my name is Jude Olotu. I'm an artist and I'm here today to share my artwork and also my experiences with Dr. Habibi. Looking forward to having a nice time talking with you.
Hello guys, this is Dr. Habibi. I'm on a journey to showcase black-owned business here in Dubai, and today I am here with the creator.
Don't underlook your passion. If you have a passion for the arts, take it on. My full concentration on art started about 4 years ago when I started actually producing some artworks that are still very much accepted and people are buying it. Just 4 years ago. That's when I talk of art, I'm talking about painting. And within the same period, I've been able to produce almost 300 paintings.
Guys, subscribe to the channel and help us get to 20k this month. Thank you.
My name is Jude Olotu. I'm from Abuja, Nigeria. I am a civil engineer by training, but an artist by choice and by passion.
Historic moment. We have Mr. Jude Olotu opening his art gallery here in the heart of Dubai. We say congratulations, Mr. Jude, to you and your entire crew.
Yes, I was born in Nigeria during the period when Nigeria had the Civil War. There was a lot of upheavals in my country in those days, and that warranted movement from one location to the other because of the Civil War. And we experienced a lot of, as a young man growing up in that time, you know, I was born in the north part of Nigeria, and then I'm from the southern part of Nigeria. We had to move from the north to the south. And so as a young man, we experienced a lot of different type of upheavals. We saw a lot of suffering, death, killing, and, you know, injustice, you know, going on in Nigeria. And it left an indelible expression on me growing up. And I will say, in a way, my art has some influence in it, because I found a way of expressing a lot of things because of my upbringing and growing up in that environment. And I will say there are other factors too that affected what made me to have that passion in artwork generally, because I've always wanted to be an engineer, and it was always that interest in me that made me to go into engineering in the university to read civil engineering. But deep down in me, I always had that passion to create things, to be creative, to be able to visualize things and bring them to pass. And I believe that that's what also affected my artwork itself, because in it has a broad spectrum of creative processes that result in eclectic arts, different forms of art that reflects various portrayals. It enables me to be able to create art, unique art. Growing up as a young man, I used to work on holidays with my father, where he used to organize mining. He was a mining contractor, tin mining contractor. So I used to go there, and I noticed there's a lot of this soft clay while they are mining there. And I will take this clay and begin to do some sculpturing. So I did a lot of sculpturing using clay. As a very young man, less than 10 years old at that time, I believe. And I think that started that passion for sculpturing, which I would say I started out as a sculptor as a young man. And then later in life, after my graduation from the university, I did some major sculpturing work, which happens to be commissioned work of sculpturing for a local government headquarters in my country where I was doing National Youth Service. I did a big lion sculpture made of concrete, and it's over almost 30 years now. Sculpture is still there. That was my first major sculpture commissioned work. It was later on I took up painting, which has now become basically my vocation right now. I have been an engineer for over 30 years, and I enjoy doing that work, but I noticed that eventually engineering actually involves there's no creativity in engineering. You're following rules and laws and basically design processes that leaves no room for you to create things yourself, and had that void. And I had some time, some 4 years ago, which happens to just before the COVID pandemic. I happened to discover that I have some time to myself, and then I took up painting again. And basically, there was a long gap between my early paintings and 5 years ago, 4 years ago, thereabout. And I just felt I need to pick it up again, my brush. And and it just happens to be before the COVID pandemic, I started a new set of works. And then during the COVID pandemic, I actually had more time. And within a period of 1, 2, 3 years, I was able to create over 200 artworks. And I would say it was a turning moment because I actually had time to create, to be creative. And I would say since then, I've had several exhibitions, and my works have been sold and bought by several people. And I found it very fulfilling in this new process, creating art. In a way, I discovered that artwork involves detail, a lot of detail work. You have to be very detailed in what you produce, and you have to be very, very focused on providing details in your work. And interesting enough, as a structural engineer, which is what I was for several years, I'm still a structural engineer anyway. It also involves details. So I discovered that there's some correlation between structural engineering and art, up to a point where you can say you are able to visualize things and work in details. And I love doing art because it gives me, freedom of expressing anything I feel inwardly. And that's the beauty of being creative. Art actually provides you the opportunity to be able to visualize things in your mind and then reproduce them. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, but there's that fulfillment when you actually get what you want. And that's the excitement about creative process. Sometimes you don't know what you get. Sometimes you visualize what you want to get, but eventually when the outcome comes out, you look at it, you see, oh, somehow you don't know how you arrive at that, but there was an inspiration behind, that creative process. And that's what really makes me enjoy what I do as an artist. Yeah, there are various types of art forms. There are various types of art forms and art ways of expressing yourself in the art world. When I took up artwork itself, I decided to try all the various types of arts. You have the abstract art, you have portraiture, you have expressionism, you have realism, abstract realism. I actually delved into all this, and I did all that. I did realism, portraiture, abstract, but I decided to call myself more of an abstract artist. Abstract artist in the sense that I create things that has meanings which are insidious. You have to look at it to see what it's trying to portray, what it's trying to tell you. It may tell somebody something and tell another person a different thing. So art itself, especially abstract art, has that potential to be able to express itself based on who is viewing it. And I say my artwork is influenced by my scientific upbringing as well as being an engineer. I see myself also as a scientist, especially astronomy or theoretical physics, which is one of my passion too. I see myself expressing my artworks. If you look at some of my artworks, you see cosmology, theoretical physics, and some forms of scientific, portrayals of events because of how I perceive these things. So I try to express it in artwork itself. So my artwork is influenced by my background as a scientist, as an engineer, and it's different as a result of that because it gives me that freedom to express, abstract things in a kind of creative way. Yes, I want to be able to produce art that will stand the test of time. I want to be able to produce art that in the future, people will look at it and be able to say, yes, this is a product from Jude Olotu. In a way, I have a lot of experiences in various forms of art. It's not just painting that is art. Music is art. Sport is also an art. I happen to be a basketballer as a young man growing up in those days up to professional level, playing for my country, Nigeria, and also my state where I stayed, in Nigeria, Plateau State as at that time. And then I also have to have that skill of being able to play music, the guitar, the keyboard, and then now arts. So in a way, I'll say I found that fulfillment in using art to synergize all these creative juices that I have building up within me and be able to express myself in them. In a way, I think that motivates me a lot to continue doing artwork. Yeah, this artwork is titled Uprising. I painted it in 2019 during the pandemic. And initially, if you look closely, you may not initially see what it's all about, but you look closely, you see the face of a man with the eyeballs, wide open, the mouth wide open, and you see a lot of colors signifying some kind of emotion, and some kind of boiling up. And then you see some explosion of, elements around it. So it's like some kind of bottled up emotions being experienced by somebody, and it can represent actually a people, can represent, a country, can represent emotions or personal experiences. And the point comes when there's a kind of release of these bottled up emotions. And then it's like there's an uprising. And when that happens, it's like a volcanic explosion that, nobody can stop. This particular painting was painted in 2018 and it's titled String Theory. The string theory is actually a scientific theory in cosmology about the origin of the universe. And basically, I had a conceptual idea of how, the universe started. as a point. Then you had the Big Bang, and then you have an massive explosion, and then there's these elements of life and matter spewing out, out of, nothingness. So I try to express this theory of string theory with these different colors of strings that eventually coalesce together to form matter, or the cosmos, planets, stars, and various interstellar objects that we have today. So in a way, this piece is inspired by cosmology and astronomy in a way. And so we also have something like that here that looks like a comet moving, and then it has this big M forming, I call it the Grandmaster. It was a work I done in 2019, and in a way it's also more of like a comet moving into space, but in a way, in a grandeur, that can only be explained supernaturally. That's why I call it the Grandmaster. There must be some grand forces, some intelligence. I call it supernatural intelligence behind that. I call that intelligence the Grandmaster. This particular piece was done in 2018, and it's done in acrylic, and it's involved, and it's titled In Her Space. It's a portrayal, abstract portrayal of a lady, the face of a lady that is actually visionary looking towards a point that has like irradiating light, and then there's that focus, and she's in her own sphere, but somehow she's focused on achieving an ideal. It's like she's motivated by an ideal which she wants to arrive at. And she's moving from, bluish, which is actually mean a kind of sad, events that happened in the past, and then moving towards a brighter color, which is signified by this color of purple. So there's moving from background of sadness, looking forward to a brighter future. So that's just the perspective.